Alec Baldwin. Absolutely no concern for others. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Yes, everybody's favourite furious narcissist is in the news once again. I've analysed Alec Baldwin, see parts pass him, for a detailed explanation as to why he is a narcissist and further examples of his narcissism in action. You'll also be entertained by the activities of his wife, hilarious Hilary Baldwin, as she's been analysed also. The circumstances surrounding the film Rust and the death of the individual as a consequence of the misuse of a firearm continues to be problematic for Alec Baldwin. Breitbart, and of course they love taking pot shots at him for obvious reasons, reports prosecutors accuse Rust star Alec Baldwin of complete lack of concern for the safety of those around him. New Mexico prosecutors are already going on the offensive against Alec Baldwin, threat to control, 3 months ahead of his involuntary manslaughter trial, alleging the Hollywood star evinced a complete lack of concern of the safety of those around him during the filming of Rust. Well, those prosecutors will be absolutely right. As an upper lesser type B narcissist, see parts pass him, it's very much my way or the highway with Baldwin. He's right, you're wrong. He's strong, you're weak. He's clever, you're an idiot. You don't understand, and he hasn't got time to explain it to you. Bombastic, belligerent and brash, it's no surprise that he evinced a complete lack of concern of the safety of those around him because he simply doesn't care. He has no emotional empathy, and he doesn't even make a pretense of it, for he operates with no facade. Prosecutors also accuse Baldwin of having no control of his own emotions, which is more likely a reference to the fact that he has a low threshold on his ignited fury. Alec Baldwin is facing a maximum of 18 months in jail if he is found guilty for the killing of cinematographer Helena Hutchins back in 2021. His upcoming trial comes after New Mexico prosecutors revived the case against the actor after previously dropping charges last year. Naturally, the revival of the case against him is a threat to his control. The decision to revive the case came after prosecutors said additional facts have come to light, following an extensive investigation they carried out in recent months. Baldwin has repeatedly maintained his innocent denial, the first line of the twin lines of the narcissistic defence, claiming the gun in his hand went off without his pulling the trigger. Yes, that's how guns operate, isn't it? That they regularly just go off in your hand, that it's nothing to do with pulling the trigger. On Monday, prosecutors filed a response to the actor's latest attempt to have the case thrown out. Him bringing a motion to dismiss the case is once again an attempt to nullify the threat to control posed by the case. To watch Mr. Baldwin's conduct on the set of Rust is to witness a man who has absolutely no control of his own emotions, low threshold and ignited fury, and absolutely no concern for how his conduct affects those around him, lack of facade, lack of emotional empathy. Prosecutor Carrie Morrissey wrote, according to the filing, which was obtained by Deadline. Witnesses have testified that it was this exact conduct that contributed to safety compromises on set. And of course, that is understandable. All Alec Baldwin cares about is him, and you better not get in his way. If you do, you're a douche canoe that deserves everything that you get. They also allege Baldwin relentlessly rushed people around the set, lack of patience being a key indicator of a narcissist such as him, resulting in compromised safety. Prosecutors wrote that the Hutchins death was a result of Baldwin's complete lack of concern of the safety of those around him, combined with armourer Hannah Gutierrez's negligence and inexperience. Gutierrez was recently found guilty of involuntary manslaughter and is awaiting sentencing. Baldwin's trial is set to take place on July the 9th. Naturally, we'll be keeping an eye on that to see where that takes him to, and of course, it is demonstrative of a significant threat to his need for control. It's no surprise to have him labelled as such, because this is a manifestation of the absence of his emotional empathy, his arrogance, his haughtiness, his dismissiveness. Is there much sympathy for him, though? Do people think he is just the victim, like Helena Hutchins was, of an accident? Well, Lamshank below the line writes, "Throw his worthless butt in prison already. Sick of this POS whining and trying to play the victim. He has blood on his hands." Rico Cat, Baldwin is a lying piece of shit. Guns don't just go off. Baldwin recklessly pointed the gun and pulled the trigger. Indeed, once again demonstrating how his narcissism causes him to reject accountability and responsibility for his own behaviours. Nued Ardente, as a producer and star of the movie, and being a big baby, he had a huge influence on the set. Safety culture starts at the top down. Fleetwood Factor, if Baldwin had accepted responsibility for his actions back in 2021, instead of blaming everybody else, his jail term would be completed and his ordeal would be over now. The fact is, of course, he will never accept that he is at fault, because his narcissism tells him that he's not. His narcissism repeatedly reminds him that he's the victim, that somebody else didn't do their job properly and he's ended up suffering, that has told him that the gun just went off in his hand, even though that couldn't have been the case. Old Army Medic writes, Baldwin is a real unsavoury loudmouth know-it-all, and that's the nice part of his local reputation in Camillus. D. Warren, remember when the barking mad evil communist Democrat Party cult and Alec Baldwin were appalled when Trump joked about shooting someone on the street and getting away with it, and then Alec Baldwin actually shot a woman dead on the set and got away with it? Brad Hampton, a man who has absolutely no control of his own emotions and absolutely no concern for how his own conduct affects those around him, that's a near textbook definition of a sociopath. Sam I Am, another show trial where the accused criminal is let go with a pretend sentence into a luxury prison and a fine. Our current justice system at work. Cicero, I think Baldwin is guilty of far more than just negligence. However, no matter what Baldwin's guilt is, the prosecutors should keep their mouths shut until it's time to present their evidence at trial. Well, little sympathy for Alec Baldwin, his reputation as a loudmouth bully preceding him, although he's unlikely to find much support amongst the readers of Breitbart, it has to be said. But it is interesting that what the prosecutors have said about him is entirely commensurate with his status as an upper lesser type B narcissist. It will be interesting to see what more comes out in the trial in the months ahead. Undoubtedly, I will be following that for you, interpreting his behaviours as no doubt will be treated to some spectacular examples of his blustering, belligerent, bullying, upper lesser type B narcissism in full effect during the course of the trial. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.